There's a lot of gals that are making a living doing this stuff these days.
Yep.
Like way more than ever before.
I mean,
hey,
the
it
pandemic
beats working at Walgreens.
The pandemic is when it really hit hard, you know? I mean, I can't say if I was 22. If I was 22.
If I was 22.
I don't know what I would I don't know what I
I'd
would
be
have
out
done.
there doing yoga in my underwear. If that's all I had to do.
If OnlyFans was around when I was 22, I don't know if I wouldn't be doing yoga and with wrapped.
The thing is,
ropes.
if you get in that, there's two arguments, right? If you get in that ecosystem, and that's what you do for money now, and you start making a lot of money, you're going to get very accustomed to making a lot of money. So if an office job comes up in the field of your choice, and then they have to go, hey, Whitney, can you come in the office?
Nope.
We just discovered your Twitch underwear page.
Tricky.
And
Tricky.
What's going on here?
Yep.
You represent this company, and we sell air conditioning units.
Right.
It's like you can't be, and you might literally like not be able to get a regular job anymore.
That's probably true.
But then here's the other thing: if you do get a regular job, like what are you doing it for? You're doing it for money, right?
Right.
Can't you make way more money showing your asshole?
Yeah. So, I mean, the heartening thing actually about OnlyFans is a lot of it is like women breastfeeding.
Oh boy,
a lot of
That's taken over Instagram.
imagine
too.
if
That
you
is
could
wild.
have
That's a
an
big
image.
one.
You know how you could see likes and views? What if there was an image of every guy jerking off to you breastfeeding? Just like you could just pop up into a window and see like 1,000 squares. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, there's something wholesome about it. And also, it feels like there's this, I don't know, at least on OnlyFans, what I've seen, because also I have an OnlyFans account that's just for jokes. So instead of dirty photos and dirty videos, it's just dirty jokes. A lot of like comics are starting to make money on there. Just put your jokes on there that you'll get canceled for saying it on Twitter. Do it on, it's kind of like Patreon or whatever.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that are like influencers and chefs and stuff like that on OnlyFans now, making money on there the way you would on Patreon. But it's interesting because remember, like porn, you used to develop a relationship with one porn star. Like there's a lot of guys that kind of are want to be monogamous with their person, and that's part of the reason these women are making so much money. They get tips.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have like Angela White. She came on my podcast. Her biggest moneymaker is DMing with men and sending them customized videos. Men want to be shrunk, and for her to put them in her pocket, and she just sends a video of her putting the man in her pocket.
Remember that lit video with Pamela Anderson when we were younger? Is that some weird fantasy back to that? You make
Maybe.
me come, make me completely
I think
miserable.
sometimes she eats them. For a little more, I think she'll eat them. But it's like a lot of it seems like it's not just because you can find buttholes and crazy
Right.
sex anywhere on Pornhub.
It's just some weird fetish.
like that. Remember that?
It's like that exact thing. And she shrinks him down. She goes into Photoshop. She's very savvy with the Photoshop, shrinks him, and then puts him in her pocket. And that's it.
Okay.
So it's pretty wild. I don't know. I mean, it seems like there's like I think there's some men on there that kind of don't want to just see some stranger. Because also you go on Pornhub and all these places, and you're like, I don't know how old this person is. It's a lot of step brother and steps. I don't know what I'm looking at. You know,
Right.
I'd rather kind of see a woman breastfeeding so I know that she's, you know.
Yeah, well, there's got to be weird kinks outside of just like regular sex stuff. Like, how many guys like to get their balls stomped on?
What is that? What is that?
I don't know.
That can't be good.
I think some of it is CEOs. I think there's.
Being denigrated, being humiliated.
I think there's some of these guys that are the head of these giant corporations, and they're under so much crazy stress, and they take some sort of jolly and getting kicked in the nuts and told what to do. Like dominatrixes, they'll tell you they deal with these like high stress guys that run businesses.
I have a friend that did that for a while. She would send this one guy photos of her feet, but she would demand like money from him. That's what he was into. Like send me $100 right now kind of thing. And then she would insult him. She would just go to his house and insult him while he would jerk off.
Yeah, they call them humiliatrixes.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Cool. I mean, I'm encouraged by how popular MILF porn is. That's very promising. It's very promising.
Well,
that
MILFs
that's a
can
thing.
keep it together these days. It used to be they didn't lift weights.
There you go.
They didn't take care of their nutrition. They didn't lift weights. So they hit a certain point in time and, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was the MILFs that were like they had that much sand left in the hourglass, and so they were really horny. Like they knew they only had like that much more time where men found them desirable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was that because you remember when I made that robot for one of my specials, I went down to the robot making factory and they told me the most popular request for the sex doll nipples were large and brown. Like the nipple being like almost as big as the boob and dark, which is what happens when you breastfeed. Your nipples get darker.
Oh,
So I thought it
wow.
was some primordial
Ooh,
thing
could be.
about like dark nipples or something.
Right, it could be. It's like a maternal thing. Ooh.
Or people are just, guys are watching MILF porn to be like, is that what my wife's supposed to look like? Maybe just comparing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's always heartening when you go on a porn site and MILF is number one. I'm like, yeah.
What's generally the MILF fucks the stepson. That's a lot of it. It's like,
what is that?
well, the dad is an asshole. He was a shitty dad. He was never home. He was mean. And then he gets rid of the mom and gets this new hot monster that lives in his house that's just a cock addict. And then
Are we running out of taboos, guys? Are we running out of when did sex get so boring, guys?
well, that's the most likely one because you couldn't do it the other way. I guess you could, but it'd be way creepier.
Yeah.
You know, if it was the stepdad and the daughter,
Yeah, no,
that's really
no,
creepy.
thanks. I'm good on that.
But right? Isn't it funny?
They do that.
I know they do that, but isn't it funny that the stepdad and the daughter creeps me out, but the stepson's like, ha.
For some reason, what is that? It's like if you were to do like professor student, you'd be like, ugh. But if it's like teacher and you're like and guy, you're like, oh, good for him.
Yeah, I know.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, but it's just we don't worry about boys the way we worry about girls. That's what it is.
I've been trying to write a bit about this for so long, and I think there's a lot of reasons I can't crack it, but it is really like when boys get molested, nobody cares.
Nope. Well, they do if they get molested by men. Then it's murderous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if like an actress in LA gets hugged too long at a Christmas party, like we shut down
Variety
the
writes
city.
a front page article.
We march. The highways are shut down. Like everyone's like gets fired.
It's interesting. And then there's also that some women, particularly in Hollywood, they use seduction to ingratiate them with people. They will flirt with people to get closer to producers, and that's one of the reasons why, you know, who was the famous one that Tarantino told us about that had a bed in his office where he would bed starlets, and this was like, you know, back in the day in the early movie business. I forget who it was.
Hitchcock?
No, I don't
I feel
believe
like
so.
he definitely.
But I'm sure it was a common practice.
Yeah.
I think all of those studio heads and all those executives, you know, like Harvey Weinstein was just one of many.
Yep.
That's how they did it. Like you.